Here of Blastovia at this typical American farm where he's taking a tour today, and he's asking about the farmer's pickup. The interpreter tells him that it's an '81 Ford. The Premier wants to drive the Ford.
Yes, how good as guess, Smiley.
Well, this year, Ford has the best estimated MPG ever achieved by a six-cylinder pickup. What?
He says your American roads are rough.
Well, Fords are built tough. How do you like the Ford, Mr. Premier?
It's like my wife. Tough, but very good looking.
We want to make you smile.
I'd play to his backhand.
We're gonna make you smile.
Holiday Inn offers you the widest choice of the most popular resort locations.
I saw that.
Come to Holiday Inn where your smile says we're number one in people pleasing.
Here's to good friends. Tonight is kind of special.
Tide's just right.
Must
be a full moon. Hardly any wind. And the Lowenbrau's cold. Sure beats the office.
When you want the taste of a truly great American beer, tonight, let it be Lowenbrau.
Sure hope the fish don't bother us.
Sunday, in a special one-hour season premiere of Archie Bunker's Place, Edith is gone. What is Archie going to do? Then on the season premiere of Alice, Mel hits the jackpot of his life. And it's a mad marathon on the season premiere of The Jeffersons, when Tom and George get set to race.
Chicken legs.
Hippo hip. Then an all-new show from the award-winning Body Human series, The Sexes Part 2. Exciting and all-new shows Sunday night.
This is a CBS News special report. Reporting from New York, here is Walter Cronkite.
Good afternoon. The Iranian parliament has set conditions for release of the 52 American hostages, and the White House is considering them. The parliament's vote came early today. Its demands non-interference in Iran's domestic affairs, return of the late Shah's wealth, the lifting of the freeze on Iranian assets in this country, and the withdrawal of private lawsuits by American companies against those assets. According to experts, the financial conditions may be difficult to meet immediately. President Carter broke off his political campaign in Chicago when the word came, flew back to Washington, and he's been meeting with his advisors almost uninterruptedly since then. Tehran Radio said the hostages could be released either in one group or in 4 groups, one group as each condition is met. And there were hints in the Parliament's action that it might only be necessary for the United States to pledge to meet the conditions in order to begin the hostage release. In Tehran, the former Foreign Minister Sadek Ghotbzadeh told CBS News by phone that conceivably the first hostages could be freed in a few days.
I believe as soon as the United States government has announced and made the first condition met, immediately by the plane which apparently has been prepared by the government or some intermediary, the first parts of them will be released either on Wednesday or Thursday.
Secretary of State Muskie said the United States is sticking by its policy that a phased hostage release is not acceptable. They should come out together, he said. Muskie said President Carter would make no decision until he sees a complete and official translation of today's actions in the Iranian parliament. This is Walter Cronkite in New York.
This has been a CBS News special report. CBS News is standing by to bring you further developments as they occur.
Back live in New York, I'm Brent Musburger with Irv Cross. It was 4th and 5 for the Dallas Cowboys. Less than a minute to go. Danny White out of the shotgun. Sent Tony Hill into the corner of the end zone on the St. Louis Cardinals. And this time, Hill came down and the Cowboys pulled it out 27-24. Games in progress. You're watching the Rams destroy New Orleans 31-7. How about Vince Ferragamo? 4 more touchdown passes. Philadelphia leading Seattle, a 1-yard touchdown run by Billy Campfield in that game. Oakland downing Miami 16-10 now, and Plunkett has 2 touchdown passes, 13 yards to Chester, 17 yards to Bob Chandler. Tough defensive battle. 3 Steinfort field goals, 45-20 and 28, and a 1-yard touchdown run by Earl Campbell. Minnesota changes quarterbacks. Dills replaces Kramer, and Dills has thrown 2 touchdown passes in that game. Also at the half, New England destroying the New York Jets 31-14. And let's show you the best plays from games that are already over. How about the Green Bay Packers? Tougher than anyone imagined. Irv Cross, here goes Dickey to Gary Ellis, who gets all alone against that Steeler defense. What's wrong with those guys?
Well, you have to ask yourself that. He catches the ball in a soft spot of the zone and simply out-sprinted the secondary because Ellis had a big day.
Then Bradshaw had to rally the world champion. And the grand old man of the backfield, Rocky Blyer, gets open just enough, and that was it. But watch the Packers come back, and how about this for a catch by Thompson?
Talk about a picture being worth 1,000 words. That's a beauty.
It sure is. 22-20 Pittsburgh. Now watch Joe Cribbs, the rookie sensation for Buffalo, out of Auburn. His 11th touchdown of the year. But this game would turn completely around. And here's one of the reasons why. Bartkowski to Junior Miller.
Junior Miller out of Nebraska, the rookie, has all the tools to be an all-pro player.
That was 30-14. Then it was Tampa Bay storming against the Giants. Ricky Bell around right side for 21 yards of the score. Now here's Doug Williams to Mike Schumann.
One thing Williams has to do is learn to have touch. That pass had it. Result, touchdown.
30-13, Tampa Bay rolls. Now you're watching Gary Danielson get the rookie sensation from Oklahoma. If Cribbs is going to win in the AFC, there's the winner in the NFC. I'll tell you, folks, Billy Sims all alone. And here comes James Owens hauling it back for San Francisco.
Pretty neat-looking return. He hits the wedge there. Hit, keeps his feet, and then breaks out. When he gets around midfield, begins to sprint. And right here, whoops, he pulls a hamstring muscle, hobbles into the end zone, 101-yard kickoff return, the longest one of the year.
But the Lions were under pressure. They turned it over 5 times. So they went to the reverse. And here comes Leonard Thompson. Kick it down to the 5-yard line. Then Danielson bends down in the huddle and calls the bootleg, or did he, Irv Cross?
I think they thought the ball was going to be handed off. Danielson's the only one who knew he was going to keep it. It was successful. Touchdown.
Now here comes perhaps the best move of the day by a running back, Tony Dorsett.
Stop, change direction, accelerate, full speed. He's the only guy in the league who can do it.
Now, Pat Tilley, only 5'10", and what a receiver he's become for Jim Hart.
He's having a big year this year, but watch him go up. Little guy comes down with it. Great effort.
And here comes someone that Southern Californians will remember, Dennis Thurman. Deflected by O.J., and here comes the former Trojan all the way for the touchdown. About 77 yards.
Look at Jay Sally on the sideline with a headband going all the way to the end zone. That, folks, is illegal.
Now, when the Cardinals play the Cowboys, they play them tough. And here comes Mel Gray down the right side for 36 yards and a touchdown. 27-24, though, as the Cowboys pull it out. How about this for taking out frustration on Cincinnati? Fouts to J.J., and they were not finished. One more time in that sequence, and it was 31-14. Zorn, 27 yards to Largent. It is now 13-7 Seattle over Philadelphia. The NFL Today continues on CBS after these messages from your local stations.
Few would argue that getting the mentally retarded out of institutions is the humane thing to do. But suppose they moved in next door to you. Watch 60 Minutes tonight on CBS.
Sometime or other, every coach has a game that becomes a nightmare. A game when nothing goes right for his team and everything goes right for the other guys. That nightmare became a reality for a man whose career has had one success after another. Brent examined this unusual situation.
Remember this quarterback? Number 18, Roman Gabriel. Threw over 200 touchdown passes in his career, including this one that George Allen will never forget. The Rams beat the Green Bay Packers in 1967. And 10 years after that, Roman Gabriel retired.
Then Roman was named the head coach at Cal Poly Pomona. That school is located a little bit less than an hour east of Los Angeles. And his Division II Broncos started out the season pretty well. They were 500 after 6 games, and that's good for that school. But then Roman took the team into Portland State, where they lost. They lost 93-7.
I don't ever recall quite having an experience like we had at Portland State. Now, we received the kickoff, and then our first offensive series, we handed off to one of our backs, and he got hit pretty good and lost the ball, and they recovered, and as the score indicates, they were very explosive, so we gave him an opportunity to score very quickly, and we were down, and then from there it just kept snowballing.
93-7. It was 28-0 at the end of the first quarter, 58-0 at the half. So what does Coach Roman Gabriel say to the team in the locker room?
At halftime of the game, I probably said some things to our ball club that I would say to professional football players.
He was a little embarrassed because of us.
Guys were so mad that they were literally trying to just take it out on the man over him.
Everybody got pretty frustrated and awful mad, kicking the neck, watching the ball go all the time.
You can make a case that Portland State ran it up on Gabriel, but Roman's trying not to look back. He's got 3 more games to play, and winning those would be his best revenge.
Oh, you'd love to play him next year, wouldn't you?
I'd like to have the opportunity, especially if we could get us a few kids with a little speed that could cover some receivers, because everywhere else we match up to them pretty good. So one day we will get that opportunity, I'm sure. You remember when Custard played the Indians? He got massacred too, but he died. We got 3 more battles left, and we're still alive.
There's going to be a comeback for Roman Gabriel on this team then.
We certainly hope so.
Much better last night. They lost 20-13 to Cal Lutheran. A few more defensive plays from George Allen, they'll be in business. Now let's send you right back to Vin Scully in Anaheim. Vinny?
With us is Ken Howard, the star of The White Shadow. But, Ken, it's not The White Shadow that brings you here, but The Body Human.
That's right. 2 brilliant guys, Bob Fuse and Al Kelman, have created something called the Facts for Boys that will be on November 6th on a Thursday. It's 3 o'clock out here, and it's 4 o'clock in the East and Central, and I'm very proud of it. It's like a modern art film almost.
Well, let's take a look at a brief clip from that modern art film, The Body Human.
I say nobody's got all the answers to a boy's growing up. But know something? It's not as complicated as it's cracked up to be. And it can be a heck of a lot of fun, too.
Get rid of it, Chink. Get rid of it. Give it to your feet. He's going to take it from you. He's my hero.
Changing from a boy to a man is a once-in-a-lifetime trip. It means you've made the team.
You going to try this?
Grown up.
Don't hurt yourself.
With a new body. And I'd like to share the experience with you on The Body Human. Facts for Boys.
Facts for Boys with Ken Howard. As a father of 3, you can bet our family will be tuned in. Do you have a son?
Yeah, Adam is 14. I'm sure he'll get a kick out of it, too. It was a lot of fun.
I think it's more than a kick. It's truly worthwhile for youngsters because at just that age is when they need the direction.
There's a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old, and you can see them change, these 3 boys and their differences. It's a charming piece of work. We're very proud of it.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Vince.
Ken Howard, The Body Human. See it on Thursday, November 6th, right here on CBS.
Come, drive in the 4th dimension. Experience the 4-wheel drive edge of the American Eagle. Feel our 4 wheels bite into bone-dry pavement, slice through rain, eat up snow. The American Eagle takes your family with confidence where it's never been before. And introducing an all-new high gas mileage Eagle with a list price of only $59.95. Experience driving in the 4th dimension with the American Eagles from American Motors.
If the price of boots has kept you out of them, have I got news for you. Sears has genuine leather insulated boots and split suede hiking boots for just $19.99 a pair.
With lug soles, Goodyear welt construction, glove leather, or split suede leather uppers and padded collar. Special purchase, quantities limited.
At $19.99, it's tough choosing between them. But at $19.99, you really don't have to.
At Sears, where America shops for value.
Look at these little children, at the laughter in their eyes. It's hard to believe they live in a silent world. You see, all these children are deaf.
Hi, I'm Larry Brooks of the Los Angeles Rams. I'm on an outing with the Providence Hearing and Speech Center, a United Way agency. Let's go, gang. Come on.
Can you imagine what it's like not to hear all the sounds around you? Think of the danger to a little one who can't hear. Some of them may never hear like the rest of us, but they're learning to speak and in their own way they communicate. United Way supports small, little-known programs like this because these children have a need. I'm blessed. My family can hear the world around us, but I'm awful glad there's a United Way program like this one for all the little people who can't.
Thanks to you, it works for all of us, the United Way.
The preceding message was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subaru, inexpensive and built to stay that way. Alcoa, producer of energy-saving aluminum. And by the new Norelco Rotatract razor.
(31-7) in favor of the Rams as we await the kickoff to start the second half. Benny Ricardo will kick from the 35. Drew Hill, who is second in the NFC with an average of 24 yards a return, will be squinting into the bright sunlight. And Ricardo kicking high and short. It'll be fielded by Drew Hill at the 12. And he's on his feet running laterally and tripped up by Wayne Wilson at about the 23-yard line. So Wilson, number 30, hitting Drew Hill and bringing him down just shy of the 25. Vince Ferragamo will bring his troops back into position. Pat Hayden had loosened up on the sidelines, but loosened up, and that's all. Ferragamo is 9 for 16 for 175 yards and 4 touchdowns. So they spot the ball on the Ram 24. Denard wide left. Moore wide right. And here comes Peacock. And he's grabbed by Alois Grooms and Ray Brown. Big Alois Grooms, 6'4" and 250. He scored a touchdown against the Rams 3 years ago coming out of a fake field goal. In fact, last year he had a sack against the Rams for a safety. So his name usually pops up against Los Angeles.
He made a good play on that sweep. Saints defense, again, is not playing the way the score looks.
So from the Ram 26, they move it to the 21. It'll be 2nd and 13. Here comes Cullen Bryant. And Bryant is finally upended, but not before he gets to about the 30. Here are the numbers for the first half to give you an idea.
Wow.
And a lot of those passing yardage came in the 2-minute drill. But look at that, 300 yards total for the Rams.
Yeah, and what that doesn't have is the turnovers. That's the whole thing. The mistakes that the Saints have made to give the Rams field position to get these easy scores.
And you know, when the Saints had it first down on the Ram 34, it looked like they had a chance to actually get out in front. They came up empty. They could easily have used a big play there. So 3rd and 5 on the 29. Ferragamo leading Cullen Bryant. Bordelon finally forced them out of bounds at the 46-yard line. And they pick up an easy first down to Cullen Bryant.
Well, Cullen Bryant shows his receiving ability on that last play. He's an excellent receiver. The play action puts Bryant on the linebackers. That's what Ferragamo has been doing today, putting his offensive backs on the Saint linebackers.
Bryant has caught 3 today, George. So he has 26 receptions this year. That's number 1 on the Rams. 1st and 10 on the Ram 46. Peacock got outside. Boxed in by David Waymer, and Waymer brings him down at the 46-yard line of the Saints.
You know, another thing on first half stats, I always stress 1st and 10. What are we doing on 1st and 10? That's the key to the game. On 1st and 10, the Saints have had 6 runs for 12 yards and 4 passes for 18 yards. That's nothing. So the Rams have control 1st and 10. If you don't do any better than that on 1st and 10, then you're on defense even though you're on offense.
A good point, George. 2nd and 3 on the Saints 46. Ferragamo is going to try and get it all on one swing, and it is dropped by Jeff Moore. It looked like he was going to make the reception despite the efforts of Clarence Chapman, but he couldn't hold on to it. And by the way, while we look at this long pass, something much more important than a football game. We are awaiting remarks from the President of the United States relative to the hostage situation in Iran at any moment. And needless to say, at any moment, we would leave the game and go to him.
And Chapman misjudged that ball. He jumped too soon then. Misjudged the long pass.
So it's 3rd and 3 from the Saints 46. Denard goes left. Drew Hill is wide right. Elvis Peacock dragged down by Alois Grooms.
Great play.
They're going to call him back. Grooms brought him down. He was blown dead.
Another fine play by Grooms.
You know, he had 12 sacks last year. He was big guys all over the field.
Well, he's coming off the ball and he's coming in outside. The only way a defensive man can get away from that offensive tackle, the defensive end, is to be a little wider and come in from the outside so he can't grab him and hold him.
So Frank Corral will have to punt. David Waymer standing on the 10-yard line for New Orleans. Corral will be kicking from the Ram 35. Carl Eckern, number 55, back there to be the personal bodyguard, trying to pick up strays. And Corral arrows it down the right side, and it will hit Ivory Sully, trying to knock the ball backwards, and succeeded in having the ball legally down at the 8-yard line. So Ivory Sully hustling down in the corner. 1st and 10 Saints.
Every year, millions of drivers suffer the agony of hillophobia. The fear of stopping on hills with a stick shift with cars behind you, very close behind you. The only known cure? The ingenious hill holder clutch from Subaru. Now you don't have to go downhill until you want to. Subaru, inexpensive and built to stay that way.
Alcoa can't wait.
If you've ever wondered how something so big got off the ground, part of the answer is light, strong aluminum. Aluminum's high strength and light weight made modern aviation possible. Aluminum is important to most forms of transportation because taking the weight off planes and trucks, and now cars, saves fuel. Aluminum in transportation can be an energy saver today.
We can't wait. We can't wait for tomorrow. Alcoa can't wait.
Monday on Flo, Crooked Farley's running for office, and Flo's about to run him out of the Yellow Rose.
Farley's never met a man whose money he didn't like.
Monday on the new season of Flo.
With 11:40 left to go in the 3rd quarter, it is 31-7 Los Angeles, and the Saints put it in play 1st and 10 on the 8. Wes Chandler has caught one pass today for 19 yards. He's normally a key receiver for Archie Manning. He's wide left. Ike Harris is back in the game wide right, and they go to Wayne Wilson trying to get outside Brzezinski, and Rod Perry comes over to take him down with a block at the 11-yard line.
We showed number 89, Chandler. I like him. I think he's a complete receiver. He's only caught one pass with Ike Harris out. This is the guy that Archie will probably go to. I would think his mental attitude would suffer a little bit because he's a great receiver. He doesn't get the ball thrown to him very much. Last week he didn't catch a pass.
Last year he went for an 85-yard pass against San Francisco. He has electrifying speed. Manning going the other way, however, no good. Over the middle. That was to Wayne Wilson coming out of the backfield, and Jack Reynolds right on top of him.
Well, even though he's double-teamed, Chandler's double-teamed on this play, occasionally you have to go into the double team because when you have a great athlete like that, he can still beat the double team.
Reynolds and Brzezinski come out. Delaney and Sully are in there now as Vince Ferragamo discussing things with Ray Malavasi. So 3rd and 7 from the 11. Rogers, the sole setback. Harris is left, Chandler is right. And Manning goes to Chandler, who makes the reception at the 15 with Nolan Cromwell all over him.
And he did that with an individual effort. He comes down. They're doubling him long and short. He delays. We call that a straw parent underneath. They gave him the catch, but it looked like the ball came loose, didn't it?
For a split second. So it is 4th and 3 from the 15. Take another look. It's in there.
Yeah.
Now watch. Slipping down his right side.
Yeah.
Looks like he squeezed it to the ground. That's the first thing that's gone New Orleans' way all day. 4th and 3, and there's the punt. Mike Gooman taking it at the 38-yard line. And Gooman is going to be wrapped up. Jack Holmes, number 45, down there at the bottom with Jim Peterzak making the tackle just shy at about the Ram 38-yard line. 31-7 Los Angeles.
This is what the experts said about Subaru front-wheel drive cars in 1980. A structural package bristling with near Mercedes solidity, car and driver. Many similarities to BMW, both inside and out. Popular science. Reliable, inexpensive to maintain, road and track. And in our opinion, Subaru for 81 is even better. Subaru, inexpensive, and built to stay that way.
Introducing the revolutionary twin action shaving system engineered to outperform twin blades. The new Norelco Rotatract Razor. Inside 3 floating heads, Rotatract works like twin blades to grip hair. Raise it up, then razor it off, hundreds of times a second, for a shave that's twin blade close without a nick or cut. The new twin action Norelco Rotatract Razor. Cord and rechargeable. Twin blade closeness, but no gotcha.
The Rams putting it in play, 1st and 10 from their own 39. 10 minutes and 5 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter, and the Rams leading New Orleans 31-7. Preston Denard goes wide left. Jeff Moore goes wide right. And it'll be Elvis Peacock, and he's out to the 45-yard line. Gerald Moore on top of him.
Peacock, Ben, is running with more authority than he did last week. That's again the next week after coming off an injury. He ran hard on that last play, picked up pretty good yardage.
The Rams are distributing the running yardage. Bryant 9 for 52. Peacock 10 for 46, and then Gooman 5 for 35. As you can see, Seattle leading Philadelphia 13-7 in the 3rd. From the 45-yard line, it's 2nd and 6. Peacock. And he's to the 40, and Tom Myers brings him down across the Saint 35-yard line.
We call this play a Baltimore late. It's a draw play where you give the ball to the first man through the fullback. Then the quarterback can roll out, fake the ball to him, and run or pass. The Saints have yet to stop this play. I think it's the best draw in football. Peacock runs it well. Look at those legs. Keep driving.
So Peacock carries it to the Saints 34-yard line, and Elvis now is averaging 6 yards a carry. 11 carries for 66 yards. Ferragamo setting up to pass, throwing it, and a good toe dance by Preston. No, make that Jeff Moore made the catch stepping out of bounds at the 21-yard line.
A good call, play action. He also has the tight end coming across. Hicks, he's wide open, either man. Good throw, stayed in bounds.
Jeff Moore was on the injured reserve last year. He had a hamstring. So he's had 1 year from Tennessee. He was a 3rd-round draft choice in '79. 6'1", 200-pounder. So Moore goes wide right. Denard is in there now to go wide left. Ferragamo to Bryant, and Bryant all alone. Reggie Mathis upended him as he got to the 20, and then he spilled forward for a couple of yards.
You know, Ben, this type of game is really good for your team morale, because guys that never get a chance to play get in there and have a chance to make a big play. And and still playing the special teams. So it really helps you over the long run because you may have to use one of those players later on when you have an injury. I know what Pat Hayden's thinking.
So 2nd and 8, the ball on the 19-yard line of the
that. 3 seconds is good pass protection. 3-5 is good.
For Dick Nolan, way back in 1970, he was Coach of the Year in the NFC. Had a big year at San Francisco, but things have really backfired on him up to here. 0-8 and having a bad day. Talking about a bad day, I guess that figured. New England chewing up the Jets 34-14. The Rams will be playing New England on November 16th. That should be quite a confrontation. 3rd and 8 on the Saints 19. Ferragamo on a scramble with everybody covered. Throwing in the end zone to Jeff Moore. Touchdown. On what appeared to be a busted play, and Moore was there to handle it. His first touchdown of the year.
Well, that's a memorable catch for Jeff Moore. What the Saints did, they faked the dog, the blitz on Ferragamo. He kept both backs in the block, so he has 7-man protection. Now the coverage has everybody blanketed. He rolls out, which is another dimension that Ferragamo is showing this season. Finds Moore wide open. Touchdown.
5 touchdowns for Ferragamo today. 5. And Corral thunders that thing through, and it is 38-7 in favor of the Rams. Actually, this game appeared to be decided shortly after the anthem, when Tony Galbraith muffed the opening kickoff.
To Subaru, an economy car is only economical if it stands up year after year. Spending less at the pump is no bargain if you start spending more at the garage. And a study of Subaru owners, Road and Track magazine said, quote, one of the most trouble-free cars we've surveyed. That makes Subaru the economy car it pays to hold on to. Year after year after year. Subaru, inexpensive and built to stay that way.
American business is being taken over by revolutionaries. Revolutionary Savin copiers. Savin's advancing in New York, surrounding Dallas. Savin's winning over banks and brokerage houses. Why is big business going for Savin in a big way? Because Savins are fast, economical, and remarkably reliable. In fact, last year, Savin outplaced Xerox and IBM combined. So if you haven't noticed the revolution, you will. Savin, the revolutionary copiers that are winning over big business.
Live, undefeated champion Hilmer Kenty blasts away with Villamar Fernandez for the WBA Lightweight Championship. Next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern on the CBS Sports Spectacular.
The Rams leading New Orleans 38-7. What a big day in the life of young Jeff Moore, catching his first touchdown pass. The 23-year-old who graduated from Tennessee. Meanwhile, Jimmy Rogers from the 2 to the 20, 25, 30, 35, slips, gets up, keeps going. And is finally upended. Leroy Irvin tripped him at the 45, and he falls forward to about the 47. So the Saints in good field position.
Yes, Rogers, in spite of this score, Rogers shows that he has some potential to be a pretty good back. He's a hard runner. He's going all out on every play. He slips where the infield's been sodded, Van. It's only been in for about 3 weeks, gets up quickly and picks up an additional 10, 12 yards. I like what I've seen in Rogers.
By the way, for those folks who like the record books, the 5 touchdowns by Vince Ferragamo gets him into the books, the Ram books, with some very famous names of Waterfield and Van Brocklin and Gabriel. And who's to say he won't come up with a 6th, because we have 7 minutes and 22 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. 1st and 10 on the Saints 47 for Archie Manning. Tony Galbraith in there with Wayne Wilson. A little screen to Galbraith. And he's to midfield, to the 45, to the 40. Dropped, hit from behind. Reggie Doss hit him along with Nolan Cromwell.
Well, Galbraith is a good back. fine broken field runner, and he shows his running ability on this screen. That's a good call by Manning. Counter the rush. He's got to keep putting the ball up and try to get some points on the board and make it respectable.
Minnesota pounding Washington 30-14. We'll have a look at the Redskins against Chicago next week, George. First and 10 on the 38. Jack Youngblood was moving all over the place, but he got back. Reggie Doss gets the sack of Manning, who loses the ball, and the Rams recover.
Well,
Reggie Doss is the man who did it.
I think Youngblood got back in time. Manning had the time to throw. He was looking for someone to get open, and that happens. You hold that ball a little too long. Here it is.
His arm was going forward, so he was in the act of passing. Watch his knees as well. He was in the grasp of the tackler there, and his knee touched, and then the ball came loose.
That was a mark. They gave him the edge on that, gave him the break on that, because his arm doesn't look like it's going forward at all to me. By the way, Ricky Young had a 3-yard touchdown run on that score you just gave. Minnesota 30, Redskins 14.
Second and 10 on the Ram 38. Here comes Tony Galbraith. And there goes Tony Galbraith. Dragged down at the last minute by Jeff Delaney, just shy of the 10-yard line.
Well,
I'll tell you something. I want to salute Fred Sturt. What a block he threw to open it up.
Number 68. Let's see if we can see that. Through a key block. Galbraith turns it upfield. A good call, because the Rams are playing pass defense, pass rush, and you run the ball, you have a chance to break it for big yardage.
Here's the block. Watch 68, Fred Sturt. He has 2 men, and down goes the man he needs. So Galbraith goes 26 yards, and it's first and 10 on the 12. And Manning setting it up to Ike Harris. Touchdown to Ike Harris, who had been shaken up and injured earlier and has come back.
Great to see Ike Harris back in there. Perfect execution. The way that pass was thrown, it's a corner pattern by Ike Harris. A little fake to Galbraith, 34. It's either incomplete or a touchdown. Now watch this. Right on the fingertips in the corner of the end zone. Very difficult defense. Rod Perry, the closest man.
That's his 4th touchdown reception of the year, though Archie Manning has scored twice against the Rams, and Benny Ricardo kicks it through. It is Rams 38 and New Orleans 14. And we have 5 minutes and 38 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Again, we repeat, we are awaiting word from the President of the United States regarding the hospital.
On the 4 conditions set early this morning by the Iranian parliament for the release of our hostages. In his press briefings after the president's 2 lengthy meetings with his top advisors in the White House today, Presidential Press Secretary Jody Powell expressed concern that there might be some excessive optimism in the country about a speedy return of the hostages. Now, Mr. Carter is expected to present his evaluation of the situation directly to the American people. We expect him in the press briefing room at any moment. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States is about to come into the room.
Sit down. Sit down.
The Iranian parliament today has finally taken a position on the release of our hostages. This is a significant development. We have long been aware that there would be no resolution of this problem until the new Iranian government was in place and the parliament had acted. Many months ago, we made clear the steps that we would be prepared to take when the hostages are released. Ever since the American hostages were illegally seized in Iran, I have affirmed that our policy is based on two fundamental objectives: protecting the honor and the vital interest of the United States, and working to ensure the earliest possible safe release of the hostages. As we understand the Parliament's proposals, they appear to offer a positive basis for achieving both of these objectives. We are pursuing the matter through diplomatic channels. Any action taken by our government will be in full accordance with our laws and with our Constitution. I know that I share with the hostages, with their families, and with the people of this country the desire for a prompt return of those for whom we have waited so long. I know also that all Americans will want that return to be on a proper basis, which is worthy of the suffering and sacrifice which the hostages have endured. Let me conclude with a final comment. We are within 2 days of an important national election. Let me assure you that my decisions on this crucial matter will not be affected by the calendar. We are in contact with the bipartisan leadership of the Congress, with Governor Reagan, with Congressman Anderson, and we will keep the American people informed. I wish that I could predict when the hostages will return. I cannot. But whether our hostages come home before or after the election, and regardless of the outcome of the election, the Iranian government and the world community will find our country, its people, and the leaders of both political parties united in desiring the early and safe return of the hostages to their homes, but only on a basis that preserves our national honor and our national integrity. Thank you very much.
With the developments?
I think the comment I made.
Mr. President, do you think the Iranians are trying to take advantage of our election?
The president refusing any further comment on his statement and sticking by exactly what he said. Perhaps one thing should be noted in what the president said. He said any action we take will be in full accord with our laws and with our Constitution. I think the point there is the president was referring to the fact that there are at least 268 lawsuits against the Iranian assets which he froze in this country, and those lawsuits must be settled by law before the money can be sent back to Iran. I'm George Herman, CBS News, Washington.
This has been a special report from CBS News, Washington.
Well, hi once again, everybody. Vin Scully along with George Allen. And Pat Hayden is now at the controls for the Rams. Vince Ferragamo, who tied all kinds of Ram records with 5 touchdown passes, resting on the sidelines. The Rams, after taking the kickoff, had it 1st and 10 on their 39, and they have moved the ball to where it is 3rd and 6 on the 43. There are Hayden's numbers, of course. A frustrated Hayden, who has been out several times with injuries, and now coming back and playing the backup role. And George, immediately the question comes to mind, does this, in your judgment, create any kind of a problem in bringing in a Hayden as a backup man today? He is going to be hit, and it is Reese who caught it in midair, and Don Reese is going for the touchdown. Derlin Moore hit him, and Don Reese picked it up, and there is Hayden on the deck.
I want to answer your question, because whatever Hayden does, when you come in with a score 38-14, is usually wrong. Now he's passing. He's got pretty good protection, but he's hit, and again, his arm could have been called going forward. Of course, the ball's in the air. Reese is alert and gets the score. Usually I hated to put in my first string quarterback in a situation like that, but you have to do it. The game's won. You got to give him some work. It's a good move by the Ram offensive coaches, but it really puts Hayden over the barrel, because no matter what he does, if you throw the ball, you're laying it on. If you run the ball, you're just playing out the clock.
So a big day in the life of Vince Ferragamo, and not a bad day for Don Reese. It's 38-21 Rams.
Introducing a small wonder, the new Toyota Starlet. Born small to solve big problems. Born small to deliver more miles per gallon of gas than any other car, and designed to help beat higher maintenance costs. The very new Toyota Starlet. Born small. In fact, it just may be the first small wonder of the world.
Oh, what a feeling.
Starlet.
Toyota.
One day, I'm heading out of Buffalo, and my rig won't start up. So this guy comes along and asks me if I wanted to jump. Oh, I had this big rig, but he had the Go-Getter. Ward's Go-Getter Plus Power. Ward's best, with more cranking power for more starting power. Without that, even a warranty can leave you out in the cold. Warranties don't start cars, batteries do. And the Go-Getter Plus has the power to get you going, even in Buffalo. Now $64.88. Save $13.
Dracula's coming to New York, and his style is irresistible. George Hamilton and Susan St. James star in Love at First Bite, Wednesday night. Good evening.
Let's take a look at that explosive play. There's Hayden taking his drop. Coming in, you'll see number 74, Derlin Moore, as Hayden reading defense, trying to find a hole. Grooms can't get at him, but now here comes Derlin Moore. The ball pops in the air into the hands of Don Reese. He's 6'6", 250-pounder, 7 years from Jackson State. He worked in his dad's funeral parlor, so they call him the Undertaker. Well, he just came up with a 34-yard touchdown after 7 years in the NFL. Originally a first-round draft choice with Miami back in '74, Don Reese. So it's 38-21 in favor of the Rams. Drew Hill will chase this thing, pick it up at the 12, make it at the 8, and he'll get out across the 20, and down he goes.
You know, usually on touchdown runs like that by linemen, the second or third guy in gets the big play. Moore caused the fumble. Reese was a little late in coming in, but he's in the right spot at the right time.
Boy, there's a big man who's angry. Phil Murphy, number 95 for the Rams. He is 6'5", 280 pounds, and he was furious, and he was just knocking people every which way.
Well, he hasn't had much action. He's got a lot of energy.
Boy, he burned a little of it off on that play. Phil Murphy, a rookie out of South Carolina State.
You know, Ben, as a coach, I always wanted to get a game like this over.
New Orleans, side on the kickoff, re-kick, 5 yards.
The sooner you could get it over, the better, because you know who's going to win. Now here's Murphy.
Watch Murphy now.
Yeah,
95, right. Turning, and he got a shot at the last minute from Don Schwartz. That knocked him into Ray Brown. So Brown took a poke at him, and Bill Phil is really hot. Third-round draft choice for the Rams.
Well, he just got a little elbow there. That wasn't too bad for him. Now the Saints are kicking off from the 30-yard line.
Ricardo does not have any depth to his kicks. In fact, he has kicked several out of bounds in trying to kick off today. Benny Ricardo, he's an interesting guy. He went to San Diego State. He was born in Paraguay. He once ran a women's boutique in San Diego. They tell us he's in the shoe business now. He's played for San Diego, Buffalo, the Southern California Sun. His longest field goal, 48 yards 2 years ago. That's a thumbnail sketch of Benny Ricardo. This time he'll hang one to Drew Hill at the 9, to the 20. And knocked down on a block by James Marshall. And let's see how they rule it. It's another turnover.
Saints ball. Saints ball.
Jack Holmes recovered the ball. Watch James Marshall, number 23, throw a block at Drew Hill to start it. That's Holmes. Here's Marshall. And now as he goes down on the elbow, the ball is loose, still rolling. And Holmes comes along and gathers it in for New Orleans. Would you believe?
He fumbled as he hit the turf. Archie right here should try to get on the board quickly now. Right away.
So it is 1st and 10 on the Ram 32 for New Orleans. Ike Harris goes left. Wes Chandler goes right. Manning going to flip it to Wilson on a little screen. And Wilson is grabbed down by Jack Reynolds. If Reynolds, number 64, didn't slow him with a hand, he would have beaten Brzezinski to the spot. But it was Reynolds' one-handed grasp that slowed him down. Otherwise, he's got a big gainer.
Well, what Archie's doing, he's throwing the short passes on first down for the most part, trying to pick up 4 or 5 yards, normally the way you would use your running game. I think he's concerned about that Ram rush and the dogs.
So it is 2nd and 7 on the Ram 29. And they go slot right with Harris inside Chandler. Manning looking left and releasing to Jimmy Rogers, and down he goes. Reynolds and Brzezinski on top of him. So Dick Nolan, who suddenly saw his team get a couple of good breaks, now hoping to cash it in and get back in the game.
Yes, if they could score a touchdown here, they're back in the ball game. They're back in this ball game in spite of being behind 24-0 in the first quarter. This is a big series for the Saints.
They were down 31-0 before New Orleans finally in a 2-minute drill got 7. Now it is 38-21. We have 2:51 left in the third quarter.
Well,
and let's see if he took too much time.
He did. He was reading the Ram coverage and the linebackers, worried about the blitz, calling his audibles. Time ran out on him, a costly 5 yards.
5 yards, still third down.
And of course, you certainly can't talk about inexperience. Manning's 10 years in the league. He is 7th among the NFC passers.
Well, the Rams do a good job of dogging from the nickel and the dime defense. That's what they're in. He was concerned about that.
So it's 3rd and 12 from the 34. Ike Harris on a great catch, gets to the 20-yard line, and a first down. What a catch by Harris.
A great catch. This is what we call the underneath pattern. Football terminology was a straw because it's strong side. He delays and then comes underneath. Now watch him reach back, catch the ball one hand with his left hand, then put it away, lower the shoulder, and go forward. Great
Jeff
play.
Delaney finally brings him down at the 20-yard line. So it's 1st and 10 for the Saints on the Ram 20. We have 2 minutes and 2 seconds left in the third quarter. And they're going to try Jimmy Rogers. And he ran right into Jack Reynolds, losing the ball after the whistle. Rogers carried for the 9th time, but it's been a painful 9 carries for him. He had only 21 yards today. That's a come down from over 100 last week.
Let's watch Cody Jones, 76, make a play on this strong side run. Comes across. Actually, he was held on the play. Comes back in and makes the tackle along with Jack Reynolds.
So it is 2nd and 10 from the 20. Manning over the middle, intended for Tinker Owens, broken up by Nolan Cromwell. Tinker Owens along with Wes Chandler and Ike Harris. Remember, New Orleans lost Rick Maudie. Maudie went out with a fractured elbow early in the first half. So they have 3 wide receivers and 3 tight ends.
I like their receivers. I think they got a good array of receivers, and I think Clarence Childs is one of the best tight ends in the entire National Football League.
Rod Perry, of course, will be tested by all of the receivers, as has been Pat Thomas on the other side. So 3rd and 9 from the 20. In the end zone to Childs, no good. Flag on the play. Henry Childs got one hand on it. And the flag is right by the quarterback.
Yeah, good throw, good try. It looks like the penalty could be against the Rams. Might have been a late hit by, let's see, maybe we have double penalty.
Well, we'll watch Jim Tunney. He'll tell us. Naturally, on a pass, you always think about holding.
Yeah. Archie was hit just as he threw the ball.
Holding, 67, decline. Fourth down.
Here's Archie Manning. Look where Jim Tunney is. Now watch. And you can see the flag was almost in the air, as was the football.
Tunney's job is to protect the quarterback. He stands right behind him.
From the 26, a 36-yard field goal attempt is good by Benny Ricardo. So New Orleans is now in the game because they have cut the gap down to 2 touchdowns. Now, maybe that seems like a lot of points, but it's nothing like 31-0, which was the way it was at one stage.